Paisley Family Farms. It is Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody. I hope all my beautiful people out there. It's been a joyful week so far. Tomorrow is Friday Eve. Well, you say, Papa Bear, what are you doing? This is what I did yesterday. As you can see in the background, there's a big hole. That big hole will be all fixed. I got to do that before winter sets in. I've moved this wood 3 times. First, it was moved to the trailer. Then it was moved over here on this side. I came up with this third option because it can't hurt anything. I mean, it's sitting on pallets, it's off the ground. The eventual plan is to get all this tarped over before winter sets in. This wood here was set, it was here before we came along. The nice thing is now I know exactly what wood we have. I got to build a swing base for the saucer. That way I think it'll get utilized more if we build something like that for the kids, because right now it's hanging off a tree and it's towards the end of the property and Carmen never goes over to it. I bought it, I thought she would love it, but only one's enjoying it is me, because I like sitting in it and resting. But yeah, I still got that pile over there to move, but I'm not doing it today. Between yesterday's heat and doing all this hard work, some of these beams here are very heavy, but thankfully I had the Cocobotus to do a lot of the lift for me. But some of these are some really big long beams, weigh a lot. There was some telephone poles that were done in the ground. I pulled them out of the ground. I wanted to do that. Got that done. Like I said, I just got that pile over there to still do. But that'll be another day. Today is, as you can see, it's somewhat sunny. We are in for some storms today. But let's go over here and so I can sit down and talk to you a little bit more. Here we are, sitting among the river. So what a better way to do it today than being outside the barn. Now normally I always say in the beginning of the video, what happens on the farm stays on the farm. We're going to let it all hang out. I forgot that part. But today we are going to let it all hang out. Sunday I did not do a video because Saturday we did a lot of traveling. If you don't know anything about fibromyalgia, I advise you to go look it up. It is a horrible disease that robs you of everything that you enjoy. Hey, Gypsy. Old Gypsy girl. Her allergies are back, by the way. But anyways, if you don't know anything about fibromyalgia, I'd go do your own research on it. I'm not going to go into lengthy about it, but it robs you of all your joy of things you do. You know, on top of that, I have a back injury. That doesn't help the situation. So driving, it doesn't matter if I'm in the passenger seat or if I'm behind the wheel, and I'd prefer to be behind the wheel. No offense to my wife, but she's a good driver, but I just like to drive. It's one of my enjoyments. But anyways, we did a lot of traveling. We started out at our son's house. Then from there, which was in Logan, then we traveled up to London for a birthday party. And then we traveled over to west side of Columbus to say goodbye to our daughter and the grandkids and our son-in-law before they headed back to Tennessee the following day. So we started out, I don't know what time it was. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get home till about 6, almost 7. And I was done. It really does a lot on my body, driving like that. You know, on top of that, we dealt with the heat, rain. The birthday party was at
Dillon. Deer Creek State Park down by the dam, they reserved the shelter house. And the clouds came, and then the wind came. And I mean, it rained, and the wind was something it felt like you might have been in a tornado because everything was flying everywhere. And I sat like this standing up by the picnic table because the rain just hit my back and it coated me and I was soaked. But it was a good time. But after the rain left, it still rained after we left. But yeah, I didn't mow last week because I didn't feel like it really needed it. We've been here in Ohio, we've had off and on rain. I'm sure everyone's been dealing with this. Been dealing with the heat. Like I said yesterday, it was hot. I mean, there's no way around it. My overalls were covered in sweat from head to toe. But I got the majority of that wood moved. I only got that little piece there to do. And then I got to measure the side there because I got to order the green canvas. That side definitely has to be done before before winter season moves in. Because it's got a big hole there. I don't want snow piling in there. And now the wood's out of the way, so now rain or whatever is going to come right in there. So I do need to get that side least covered. Maybe possibly the other side. We'll just have to see about stuff. That's something else I want to talk to you about. We've been kicking around about selling. Like I said, we keep everything real with you. And some of you don't watch it, that's fine. But for us, this might be a document for our kids down the road, or our grandkids might pull it up. We talked about selling just because there's so much issues with the house. Things you didn't think about. We didn't have inspection done. It was being sold as is anyway, so it was, there's nothing the owner would have been able to do anyways, or have fixed. Electrical is a big issue. The outdated windows in the whole house. Like I've said, I think I've said in time before in videos, mismatched windows they put in. Just everything is not good. We heat with heating oil. A lot of people say that's bad and you shouldn't, use a lot of energy or whatever, but it is what it is, Like I said, we talked about selling, and like I told her, I thought over it myself. We're established here, meaning that we don't have to move. Since we moved here, we've accumulated a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. It kind of happens when you move out of a small little apartment. You kind of live around that little apartment, and then when you get a big place like this, you accumulate tools and power tools and stuff to take care of the property, and the list goes on. And before you know it, you got a lot of stuff. And so moving would be a task in itself. One thing that I want in this house, and this is what I thought about, we're established here. Let's see if we can get, Nancy, you're going to knock everything over, girl. Let's see, what was I talking about? So what I'm going to do in the next couple weeks is get a contractor out here and see what, Gypsy, you're shaking everything, go. As you can see, she's off the hook, but she's staying with Dad right now, and she's got her allergies, her back bad. I've done everything in the book for her. But anyways, I'm going to bring in a contractor and get a quote. We need to get insulation put in the house. There is no insulation. A couple rolls up in the attic isn't insulation to me. That's not insulated at all. That has to be done. Windows, least in the living room for now, would need to be done. Especially the big windows that are in front or in here and facing the river. Them need to be done. I'm not worried about so much the mudroom area because it's not insulated at all. It's just as an add-on, basically mudroom. I do need to put a door up to block off the heat from there. Central air and heat pump needs to be put in. Get rid of the old oil heat. It doesn't have to. The tank doesn't need to be removed from the basement. It could just stay there. Could actually be a backup resource if we needed it. But central air and heating needs to be put in. Electrical, big issue, needs to be checked and brought up to code. You know, when they put electric in, who knows how long ago? I don't know anything about when it was put in. They didn't think about down the road computers and you know, cell phones need to be charged and microwaves. I guess they just didn't. I don't know. You can't plug anything in without it popping. You know, I finally figured out the one solution for the one circuit breaker because it kept popping every other day, or seems like. And the one thing that I came up with was plugging the air conditioner to the plug that goes out to the barn. So far, knock on wood, it's working. You know, there's just so many things that need to be done if we're going to stay here. So once we get that quote and see what kind of price we're looking at, which we're talking probably a lot of money, then we'll sit down and write down our pros and cons of living here. You know, like I said, the top one I can think of is we're established, we don't have to move. You know, my wife doesn't do the packing. My wife doesn't really do anything with the moving part of a house. That's all lays on my shoulders, and that's a lot of work. You know, we would definitely need a bigger company come in here and help us because, like I said, the barn itself is for tools and, you know, everything you can think of. Now, some of that we could get, you know, probably get rid of if we're not going to use it, but I'm not going back to buying new tools and stuff like that. We'll just take it with us. When we moved down here, we had the biggest, well, the company came to help us move out of our apartment. They had rented the biggest U-Haul truck. Now, we also rented a U-Haul truck. It was a smaller truck, small box truck. I think it had a ramp on it. Maybe it didn't have the ramp on it. I can't remember. And we used that the first before the big move came down. And we had that full. This time around, it would be a lot more trucks. We would probably have to have at least 3 big U-Haul trucks, the biggest they got, to move us. So that would be one of the big pros of staying here, is that we don't have to pack anything up. You know, one of the cons is, you know, you see all these flash floods going on. You know, we saw what happened in Texas, and it's still happening in Texas. They just had another big storm cell that moved through there and flooded the place. That's one of the big things back behind us that, you know, is a concern. That's also a very large expense on top of our mortgage because we have to pay very high flood insurance. Does it cover everything? Yeah, it covers everything, but, you know, you can't replace, you know, memories of pictures and all the keepsake stuff that we got for the kids that they've done over the years and stuff like that. So that would be one con I see would be the river. Another con about living here is how much it's going to cost to bring this house up to what it should be. So that way it's energy efficient. That way it's flowing good. Like I said, like the AC needs to be, we need a heat pump and central air put in. We need all new windows. We need electrical done. There's where the pantry's at inside the house. There's this little add-on. I don't know what you want to call it. They just put tar paper up there, and that's all rotted out underneath. That all needs to be ripped off and re-roofed, and it's not part of the attic space, but all that needs to be also insulated, because you step on a step stool up to about, I don't know, you step up, say 2 steps up into the top of the pantry, the heat just bellows out of it. So that all needs to be up to snuff. We knew there was going to be some costs. But one thing we didn't figure is our electrical issue. The electric is outrageous here. We're paying, between the barn and the house, we're paying almost $900 a month. Just in the two. That's not even in the peak time, the season where the winter time. So you can't say that, well, you run the heat, that oil heat. That's just average. We just paid $300 for the house. Just in the house, electrical. There's the barn will be coming up next month, and it'll be about $100 because I've been cutting off things as much as possible. But see, the barn, the reason why it's running so, because we're running stuff out from the house. We have the deep freezer that's in our bedroom. We have a AC unit now plugged onto it. We run fans in the barn because of the rabbits. That's another issue we talked about. I just came up with a solution, is that we talked about bringing goats and maybe have a Highland cow and all this stuff, and we have these dreams, but the reality is that's not going to happen. After this batch of rabbits are done, we'll put them in the freezer camp, and the only animals we'll have is the dogs, the barn cats, and the chickens. That's it. It all falls on my shoulders to take care of the animals, clean them cages, make sure they're healthy. That all falls on my shoulders, and it's too much. It really is. You just have to kind of take a stock of what you have and say, what needs to be cut here. The chickens, they eat a lot. Of course, I caught a couple bandinos, and they're no longer on this earth. Let's just put it that way. They went to bandino heaven. Like I said, I love it here. I do love it here. But things got to change. Either way, one thing or the other. If it's going to cost too much and we can't get a home improvement loan, and I hate to take a loan out, but that's the only way that these things can be done rapidly. Well, my wife says, well, we could maybe just do, something like this small. Maybe we could do this. Well, you're right. I could take rolls of insulation, put it up in the attic. But here's the problem with that idea. That's what's already up there. The insulation that needs to be done needs to be a spray insulation. The whole house needs, into the walls, it needs to be plugged with insulation. That's going to be an expense, yes. But for that house to be energy efficient, what it should be, yeah, you're going to have to pay money. It takes moolah to do it. Man, I'll tell you what, if I would hit the lotto, now that'd be one thing. If I hit the lotto, without a doubt, I'd sell this place. I would, in a heartbeat. I would find me a nice piece of country property, put a modular home. I've seen several of them. Either that or a barninium. Build it like I want it to be built. Still wouldn't have animals. I already decided no, that would be just too much for me to do. Um, you know, it's just to me is a waste. It's a cost. If I'm not making profit off of it, there's no sense in doing it. And since I'm not making any profits off the rabbits, which we thought we could make, the chickens laying eggs, we thought we'd make a profit off them. Uh, the only thing that we're making is eggs for our family members to have eggs, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not a problem at all on that. And eggs for us. I don't eat eggs because of the medicine I'm on. The only eggs that I can eat is scrambled eggs, just because it gets rid of that eggy smell. I don't know what it is. Now I know this is gonna sound really stupid, but I can eat McDonald's eggs. I can eat their bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. I can eat their egg McMuffin, but I cannot eat it here at this house. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I work out there and I've been in that chicken coop and I smell that's what I smell a lot of times when I'm cooking, or she'll be in there cooking up eggs. Now I will eat the poached eggs. I boil eggs, or boiled eggs, I guess, or we pressure cook our eggs. Whatever. I can eat them eggs. I don't eat the yellow part because I never have. I always love the white part. I don't know what it is about the white yolk, or the white part. But yeah, so like I said, today's is going to be kind of a relaxing day because I did a lot yesterday. It was, I started yesterday morning doing that. But then, I don't know what time it was when it started early in the morning, and then I worked till about 5 o'clock. And got done, put away everything, and then I got in the pool, cool, jumped in the pool. I almost went into shock. I bought one of them. I don't know if you've ever seen TikTok videos of people. Of course, everyone's TikTok news feed is a little different based on your viewing. But I bought one of them. I didn't buy it off the TikTok shop. I actually bought it off Amazon. The sprayer that sprays over the pool kind of gives you that fountain effect. And I didn't really think it really would be true, but it really is true. Because a lot of people on the TikTok shop says if you got a hot pool, buy one of these that'll cool down your pool. Yeah, that cools down your pool. It really does. Because before it was very warm. But I got in yesterday and it was cool, but it felt great. It was relaxing and it really felt great to have that cool water on you after you've been drenched in swamp all day and dirt. I was covered in head and toe and dirt. So that's just reality. Life. We have to make decisions. One thing that I do know that if we're staying here, because like I said, I want to get a quote here in the next couple of weeks of what kind of costs we're looking at. Because if it's, I think if we could get a loan for it, that'd be one thing. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's not really a solution. Well, you have to do what you have to do. But I don't think I would drop. I mean, I don't know. Depends on what kind of costs we're looking at. I would say my cap would be $20,000. I know some of you are going, what? $20,000? Well, you got to remember, windows are not cheap. They're probably going to have to redo some of that front window area where it kind of comes off out of the side of the house. It kind of comes out to like a spaceship look. Central air unit, heat pump. Now, I do want to see which one's cheaper, that or split way. Is it going to be cheaper to do a split way? What's the pros of split way? Is there cons of doing a split way? So them things, because split ways you have to kind of put them where, we would have to have one in our bedroom, probably one in Carmen's room. So there's two definitely one in the living room for sure. Probably one in the kitchen. So we're up to 4 splitways. Um, so yeah, I mean it would be, I got to look at pros and cons of it. But you start figuring all these things, especially electrical. If you never priced electrical work, especially if you got to get I mean, I'm not hoping that would be the case, but I've seen some of the shady work that's been done on this electrical. So one thing that I would have them do is move the electrical upstairs. That way I don't have to go down there. I don't mind going down there, but when it's raining, it's the middle of the night, whatever the point might be, if we have to hit a circuit breaker or whatever, I have to go downstairs to do it. Be one thing if there were steps to go down into the thing, but there's not. And so for me to have to walk out on the front porch, walk down the steps, walk all the way around here, hopefully don't hit my head in the middle of the night, which has happened many times in the dark. Then I got to go in there and get that and trip it. So yeah, I mean yeah, I would say 20,000 would be the cap. If it's going to be more than 20,000 to do everything. Right now, our house is valued more than what we paid for it. So the way I look at it is, we could get that money and put it on something maybe a little bit more modern house. But I'm going to tell you something. If we do that route, it's going to be inspected. I want the electrical tested. Can it handle laptops and computers and cable boxes and Wi-Fi routers? I want that stuff tested. That's one thing that I will have tested. I want to know that. I want to make sure the plumbing is good, the heating system and the cooling system. It definitely will have to have Situate and heat pump put on. I don't want to deal with AC windows, air conditioner. They're nice, they do the job, but they spend the money. That they're a cost. But you have to do what you have to do. Like I said, I don't want to sell. I love this place. It's really we have the family down here. We have the kids down here, and they enjoy the place, and they get to go swimming. They get to go trick or treating, and it's just a really great environment down here, and so peaceful. So that would be. I mean, would I be willing to move back to the city life? Heck, no. I would move to the city life. It has to be something in the country, or at least outside the city limits. Where I just don't want to live in the city at all. Especially the big city like Columbus, Grove City. No, that I couldn't do it. Nope. I couldn't. There's no way I could live in Columbus. No way. No way. So, I pray that that's not going to happen. But if it happens, it happens. There's nothing we can do. We have to do what we have to do to start cutting the costs. Like I said, our flood insurance on this place here is skyrocketing. It's expensive. Our mortgage would be a lot cheaper if it was no flood insurance. But since we have flood insurance, our mortgage is huge. Then we got the electrical. It's just basically, it's coming in here, and when the electric flows into our house, it goes right out inside one wall and right out the window, because it's a and we sit in the dark. I mean, literally, the only thing we got on is the TV glow at night, because we can't afford the electric bill. That's no way to live. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like sitting in the dark once in a while, but, once in a while I like lights to be on in my house, and you can't do that here, I hate running lights outside here. We got one over the garden, we got one over here on the other side of the barn. We got to do that because of safety issues. We got to make sure that the place is secure. Right down that way is homeless people, there's drug addicts, and people that live in the parks, where they hide out in the park areas, and sometimes you know, we had when we first moved, or maybe it was the second year. I can't remember when we moved here. We had a guy walk right into our property, act like he owned the place. Oh. You know, so we have to have lights on outside at night. That way when I'm walking in front of the kitchen window or whatever, I can see out here and see if anyone's out here messing around. So, it is what it is. Like I said, I you know, just hope that we really compromise. We try to figure out something here because something's got to give. We either get this place up to code, or what I call up to code, or we're going to have to find something that is already up to code and it'd be a lot less expense for us. You know, I like it here because, you know, another pro is Carmen goes to Dresden Elementary. Really good school. You know, they got good schools over there. So that would be a huge pro is staying here. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, tune in on Sunday. I will be doing a video for Uplifting Sunday. Hope I didn't bum all you out on my rant here, but you know, I just thought it would be something we need to talk about. You know, let you all know what's going on here on the farm. And like I said, it's been a quiet week so far. Like I said, Monday was raining. Today is supposed to got storms moving in. Then the rest of the week is supposed to be storms and rain. But yeah, that's just the way it goes. I gotta get mowing. I do know that. It's getting kind of high. Alright, boys and girls, I'll let you all get out of here. Go. Enjoy your week. I hope you all have a blessed week. And as we say around here on the farm, peace, love, and happiness comes from knowing our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And just God bless each one of you. And I keep our family in your prayers. And we will keep you all in our prayers. We pray religiously for you all, and so we hope you do the same for us. And as we always say, we'll see you on the next video. Love y'all. Peace.
I wake up every morning, see the sunrise on the land, fields of gold and rolling hills built by God's own hand. There's a Bible on my table and a flag out by the gate. In this land of faith and freedom, we stand up proud and pray. This is Jesus' country, where the eagle flies high.